The ground learns discipline. Pavement holds its breath. People don't realize it at first, why their steps falter, why sound bends, why air feels heavy, but they feel it. You walk, and everything adjusts. The earth itself tilts a little closer, waiting to see what you'll do next. You don't speak, you shift pressure, you move, and confidence cracks underfoot. You are the epicenter, and they, poor souls, are built on unstable ground. You've seen it happen. Laughter mid-air dying in throats, postures collapsing like weak architecture. They were solid until you arrived. Then tremors start. Their smiles twitch, their hands fidget, their eyes study you the way scientists stare at faults before eruption. They sense it, the warning before the quake. And still they can't look away. You don't need noise to command space. You are the noise beneath the noise, the deep frequency truth that breaks through illusions of composure. People call it charisma, but that word's too soft. Charisma entertains, you disrupt. You don't just turn heads, you dislocate them from comfort. They try to keep rhythm near you and fail because your energy doesn't dance. It detonates. Every glance from you hits like tectonic plates, grinding miles below what they can see. Pressure builds, and suddenly, they're sweating through their sentences, pretending the floor isn't shaking. You walk past, and their hearts misfire. Not out of attraction, out of recognition. Something ancient inside them remembers what it feels like to face raw authority. Their minds scramble for safety, but their bodies already told the truth. You unsettle atoms. You remind creation that perfection isn't still, it's movement held by control, and you've mastered that control. You don't chase reactions, you cause recalibrations. Look around. Every social circle has one who sits too straight when you enter, one who laughs too loud, one who drops their glass, one who stares as if you're an unsolved disaster. They all feel the same thing, the floor shifting under their small talk. You make energy measurable. You make false confidence collapse like cheap scaffolding. That's not magic. That's the cost of authenticity in a world addicted to pretending. They study your calm like seismologists charting patterns they can't predict. How do you stay so still when everything shakes? They don't get it. You are the shake. You don't react to change. You cause it. You are the ground under their performance. The rumble they pray will stop so they can keep lying to themselves. But earthquakes don't apologize for the movement. They are the movement. They whisper that you've changed. They're right. You stopped absorbing tremors from others and started generating your own. You learn that quiet doesn't mean small. It means concentrated. Now your stillness hums with restrained destruction. You could level everything fake with one word, but you choose precision over chaos. That control is what terrifies them most. It's not what you do. It's what you could do and haven't yet. When people can't imitate your balance, they label it cold. Let them. Ice is just heat mastered. You burn inward, steady and exact, and that's something they can't fake with volume. Watch them try, though, raising voices, flexing status, overcompensating for the quake inside their chest. You stand there, unmoved, and their facades crumble like poorly built cities. You don't need to prove strength. You simply exist until the weak reveal themselves. You've become the Richter scale of authenticity. Every interaction registers magnitude. Some people barely shake, a passing vibration. Others, they collapse entirely, foundations splitting wide open. That's not cruelty. That's truth revealing itself under stress. You don't destroy, you expose. You're the mirror that doesn't flatter, the mirror that shows the fracture lines they've ignored. And when they see them, they call you dangerous because honesty always feels like an earthquake to liars. Notice the aftermath? After you leave, they act like survivors recounting tremors, talking fast, laughing too hard, trying to rebuild normalcy. But the energy you leave behind keeps echoing. Even in silence, furniture still hums with the memory of you. You're the kind of force that rearranges molecules. That's why they can't forget you, even if they pretend to. Their nervous systems record you as impact data. They crash because you don't. While their emotions swing like unstable towers, you keep your structure focused, centered, out of reach. The more they spiral, the calmer you get. They think that means you don't care. Wrong. It means you've evolved beyond panic. You've learned to breathe while others choke on their own noise. You became the eye of the seismic storm, everything moving except you. The irony? They compete with tremors they created. They try to match your vibe without realizing it's not rhythm, it's frequency. You can't copy an earthquake. You either are one or you crumble beneath one. They mimic your tone, your posture, your restraint, thinking it'll make them strong. But the ground under borrowed confidence never holds. Give it time. It always splits. You didn't earn this energy through luck. You earned it through compression, through every time the world pressed down, and you didn't break. You turned pressure into poise. Each disappointment compacted into diamond control. Every betrayal hardened your core. They tried to bury you, not realizing that's how depth is made. They created the fault lines you now command. You didn't just survive the tremors, you became fluent in them. That's why people crash trying to catch up. You've been tempered by friction. They've been pampered by comfort. You understand stillness because you've lived through collapse. You know how to move when the world falls apart. They don't. They confuse noise for stability, attention for a respect, chaos for momentum. And every time they try to imitate your calm, they collapse again, victims of their own imbalance. There's an art to being the quake and surviving it. You've mastered that paradox. You can destroy what's false without touching it. Your presence alone makes weak structures confess themselves. Watch how people reveal their insecurities around you. They start defending things you never questioned. They offer explanations you never asked for. It's instinct. They're trying to anchor themselves before the next vibration hits. You never needed to prove superiority. Gravity already testifies for you. Your energy rearranges hierarchy. People who thought they were above you start stumbling. Those who dismissed you suddenly whisper your name with reverence. It's not worship, it's acknowledgement. Deep down, they know earthquakes don't take sides. They take territory. Still, you remain detached. You don't feed off admiration or fear. Both are noise. You observe reactions the way a scientist studies movement. Curious, detached, calculating. You measure who stands steady and who fractures. That's how you choose who deserves access. Few qualify. Because standing near you requires internal architecture, not attitude. Every eye that follows you writes its own confession. The jealous hide it behind humor. The intimidated mask it as critique. The fascinated pretend indifference. But their pulse tells the truth. You hear it in their voice, that slight tremor pretending to be confidence. You read it in posture, in hesitation, in the subtle micro-collapse of people who thought they were composed. You never needed to call them out. Their own vibration betrays them. And yet, you never gloat. Real dominance has no hunger for validation. You move with surgical calm, knowing you could shake worlds but choosing not to. That restraint is what separates rulers from reactors. While they panic trying to predict your next move, you're already beneath the surface, setting the next shift in motion, because the true quake doesn't warn. It arrives. Your focus is your armor. Distraction is the enemy's favorite weapon, but it can't pierce you anymore. You've stopped reacting to the noise above ground. Your vision extends deeper, where pressure becomes potential. That's what they don't understand. Chaos isn't your enemy. It's your language. You read patterns in the rumble. You translate collapse into clarity. So let them sweat. Let them mistake composure for mystery. Let them gossip about how you changed. They're just measuring aftershocks of their own insecurity. Meanwhile, you keep moving, steady, exact, inevitable. You're not walking through the world. You're rearranging it with every step. Roads stretch for your discipline. Structures tremble under your precision. Every small-minded plan collapses when it meets your execution. You don't shout. You shift plates. You don't prove worth. You let the world tilt until doubt slides off you completely. Your calm doesn't come from arrogance. It comes from proof. Proof earned through collapse, pressure, survival. You've already fallen through layers most will never touch. That's why nothing external can move you now. You've built your foundation in fault lines. Notice how even chaos shows you respect now. Problems slow down around you, like they're uncertain whether to strike or bow. That's mastery, when energy itself hesitates to test you. You've become the blueprint for control under destruction. Others panic when things fall apart. You tighten focus. You find rhythm in rupture. You make disaster look like choreography. That's why they stare. That's why they can't keep up. They're running on nerves while you run on precision. They crash because you stopped reacting. You shifted from defense to design. You don't brace for impact. You are the impact. And when they finally realize it, it's too late. The ground's already moved. But the real secret? You're only getting started. What they've seen so far is tremor, not rupture. The next phase isn't about proving you're unshakable. It's about expanding the quake, making every false structure around you reveal itself in one decisive movement. You've been patient long enough. You've studied the pattern, mastered the calm, built the endurance. Now comes the part where the world feels the magnitude. And as the pressure builds beneath their comfort zones, as confidence cracks and truth begins to leak through the fissures, they'll realize something terrifying. You never wanted their attention. You wanted their honesty. But most people can't survive that. They'll run, they'll stumble, they'll try to rebuild illusions that no longer hold. And you'll stand there, calm as always, watching the dust settle around your certainty. Because this is your domain now, the world of movement, of pressure, of revelation. You don't chase. You attract gravitationally. You don't shout. You resonate. You don't lose focus. You redefine it. And as everything around you trembles, breaks, and resets, you'll finally see what you've known all along. The earthquake was never destruction. It was correction. And this is only the first wave. The ground has learned your rhythm now. It moves when you move, stops when you stop, as if the planet itself waits for your next command. The noise of the crowd fades into a low rumble under your feet. People can feel it before they understand it, something shifting in the plates beneath their confidence. You are no longer part of their landscape. You are the landscape, and they are scrambling to stay upright on terrain they never built for someone like you. The second wave begins quietly. No explosions, no warning, just pressure. You raise an eyebrow, and the air bends. You exhale, and the temperature drops. Around you, balance becomes a luxury. Words lose traction. Every ego standing too tall begins to wobble like a tower on borrowed time. They thought they could imitate the quake, but they forgot one thing. Replication cannot handle impact. When the vibrations start, copies break first. You don't need to rush. Every step is a calculation, every glance a shift in gravity. You watch people stumble over their own performances, tripping on the stage they built to impress you. Their smiles fracture, their tone cracks, their stories fall apart mid-sentence. And you remain still, composed, analyzing how easily illusion collapses when the ground tells the truth. Because that's what you've become, the truth under their foundation. You don't argue, you demonstrate. It's almost beautiful, in a cruel way. The way a skyscraper falls in slow motion, glass turning to glitter as it meets the dust. That's what happens to false confidence near you. It sparkles for a second before dissolving into memory. People watch themselves unravel in your presence and can't explain why. They call it bad luck, wrong timing, miscommunication. You know better. You've simply walked too close to their weak spots, and the vibration of your self-control found every crack they tried to hide. You were never supposed to blend in. The earth doesn't apologize for fault lines, neither do you. Your steadiness is not peace, it's power compressed. That's why you don't explode. You shift. You let pressure build until it reorganizes everything around you. Others panic under tension. You refine it. You have learned what they never could, that chaos is predictable if you listen closely enough. Each tremor carries information. Each collapse is instruction. They call you cold because they can't measure your temperature. You walk through their fires without smoke on your skin. They sweat trying to keep up, mistaking movement for progress. But all they're doing is breaking their own structures faster. The harder they push, the quicker they crack. That's how pressure works. It rewards discipline, punishes desperation. You've become fluent in stillness. It's not absence, it's dominance in disguise. When everything shakes, the one who remains unmoved becomes mythic. But this isn't myth, it's mechanics. You understand leverage, you understand timing. You know that the loudest part of an earthquake isn't the beginning, it's the aftershock. The moment everyone thinks it's over, you shift again, subtle, deliberate, decisive. And just like that, another round of facades collapses. Your coolness confuses them. They don't realize it's not detachment, it's precision. You've trimmed excess emotion until all that's left is focus sharpened to a blade. That's why they crash, trying to interpret you. They project chaos where there is only calculation. You can see the tremor in their eyes. Why isn't this person shaking? Why aren't they sweating like we are? Because you learned to convert heat into control. What burns them fuels you. They start whispering theories, trying to explain the unexplainable. Some say you're lucky, some say you're dangerous, some say you don't feel. All wrong. You feel everything, you just don't broadcast it. Emotion is a currency, and you stopped giving loans. You spend your energy where returns are guaranteed. That's why they call you unreachable. You've priced access at integrity, and most people can't afford it. But here's the secret they'll never admit. Every one of them wants proximity to the quake. Even when they fear it, they crave it. The pull of authenticity is gravitational. The fake orbit, the real hoping to be mistaken for moons. They copy your cadence, your restraint, your pace. They study your habits like rituals, thinking mimicry might grant them magnitude. But replication without pressure is rehearsal, and rehearsal never shakes the ground. You can see it coming now, the third vibration forming beneath the surface, a deeper frequency that hums against your ribs. It's not anger, it's recognition. You've realized what this all is. Evolution through impact. Each collapse you caused has made you lighter, faster, calmer. The world keeps quaking, but you glide through it like water around stone. Others drown in their own reactions. You float in deliberate defiance. The more you master this, the clearer the pattern becomes. The same people who once mocked your calm now measure their worth by your approval. They speak in tremors, waiting for you to nod so they know they're still standing. You don't nod often, not out of arrogance, out of discernment. Stability deserves recognition. Performance deserves ruin. And ruin is honest. Even nature agrees. Listen closely. The wind doesn't resist you anymore. It follows. Streetlights flicker when you pass, as if electricity recognizes frequency. There's a rhythm to it now, a sync between your pulse and the planet's heartbeat. You used to think power meant control over others. Now you understand it's synchronization with reality itself. That's why people crash. They're out of sync. Their rhythm is artificial, mechanical. Yours is elemental. The ground belongs to those who know how to listen, not those who scream commands. You've listened long enough to predict the next fracture. It's close. You can feel the tremor under every conversation, every social performance, every handshake that tries too hard. Soon, truth will split through the concrete of appearances again. And you'll be there, calm as always, watching another empire of pretending turn to dust. You've noticed how quiet it gets. After the noise collapses, the air tastes different, heavy, but honest. That's the sound of falsehood leaving the room. Every person still standing after your vibration passes is someone built to endure proximity to truth. The rest? They disappear into the cracks, swallowed by the same ground that once held them up. You don't chase, you document. You move through aftermath like an architect, inspecting ruins, calculating what can be rebuilt and what deserves to stay broken. They call it intimidation because they've never seen composure this complete. They call it mystery because they can't track thought this vast. You don't move according to impulse. You move according to design. The shaking doesn't scare you anymore. You cause it, then walk through it like the eye of the quake, untouched, almost sacred. You've become too cool for chaos, too deliberate for panic. When others scream that the sky is falling, you watch angles, measuring descent, calculating trajectory. You've reached that strange stage where reaction feels irrelevant. They crash and flail. You observe and adapt. It isn't that you don't feel. It's that you've learned to separate signal from noise. You sense fault lines before anyone else does. You hear frequencies others dismiss as silence, and you adjust before the collapse even starts. That's not luck, that's mastery. They still try to compete. You can see it in their frantic pace, their borrowed slang, their endless chase for validation. They race against the vibration itself, thinking speed will save them. But earthquakes don't respect effort. They respect structure. You've built yours deep. No tremor can reach what's anchored in understanding. That's why you don't crumble anymore. That's why they panic when you stay calm. They realize they have nothing beneath them except performance. It's funny how obsession disguises itself as criticism. The same people who call you detached refresh your page daily. They study your habits, Analyze your expressions. Dissect your calm, like scientists trying to reverse engineer balance. They don't know that calm is just truth without apology. They keep searching for tricks while you keep refining.